The Binary Base Race, or How I Started Computing Before I Ever Started Computing. This goes back to roughly 1970. That's my 7th grade class, and here I am. And what we were doing in this class one day was studying numeric bases. Now, bases are the way that we interpret and operate on numbers. We're all familiar with base 10. In base 10, there are 10 possible digits, 0 through 9, and a number like 12,345 is represented as you see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each of those digits represents something important. The 5, for example, represents the number of ones in the number. The 4 represents the number of tens. The 3 represents the number of 100s. The 2 represents the number of 1000s, and the 1 represents the number of 10,000s. Now, that sequence, 1, 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, those are all powers of 10. Hence, base 10. Now, we already knew about base 10, and we were looking at other bases, of course, but what we decided to do was to study base 2, what we call binary. Now, in base 2, there are exactly 2 possible digits, 0 and 1. So a number might look something like 10101. In this case, the rightmost digit represents the number of ones, just like it did in base 10. The next digit over, however, represents the number of 2s. The next digit, the number of 4s. The next, the number of 8s. And the next, the number of 16s, and so on. Here, the commonality that this 1, 2, 4, 8, 16 sequence has is that these are all powers of 2, hence binary. Now, in case you're curious, that 10101 number represents 1 times 16 plus 0 times 8 plus 1 times 4 plus 0 times 2 plus 1 times 1. In other words, that's the equivalent of 21 decimal. We had a base race. Now, a base race was really more of a spelling bee-like thing for counting, except we did it in base 2. That made it interesting. The setup was fairly simple. We'd all get up and stand in front of the room in a line, and from left to right, we'd simply start counting in base 2. So what that means is the first person would say 0, the next 1, the next 1 0, the next 1 1, the next 1 0 0, and so on, counting one by one through the binary numbers. As soon as somebody got one wrong, well, they'd have to sit down and the race would continue. As you can tell, there were probably around 30 people in the class, so we ended up going through quite a few numbers. I actually don't remember exactly where we stopped, how far we got, but I'm sure we got into at least the 30s. Now, as it turns out, I came in second. Or, if you want to be technical about it, I suppose it would be 1/0 to be represented in binary. What's interesting about this, and the reason that I bring this up today, is that 7th grade, 1970, that's a full 6 years before I'd even touch a computer for the first time in college. That kind of struck me. I didn't even think about it for the longest time. I always considered my computing career to have started in 1976 with that introduction to Fortran programming class. But apparently, in reality, the signs were already there 6 years earlier. Now, you probably have experience that you don't even realize applies. So my question to you is this. What did you learn before you realized you'd learned it? Much like my binary numbers, I had no idea that they would play such an important role in my life later on. And yet, here we are. What things in real life help you understand your technology better? Technology is full of metaphors, files and folders, clipboards, menus, dashboards. They're all just metaphors for things we see in real life. I'm curious as to your experience and how it's impacted your life. As always, this video, if you're watching it anywhere but on AskLeo.com, here's the link, AskLeo.com/22613. Leave your comments there. Let me know. This is a little lighter, funner topic than some of the topics we've been addressing in the past, and I'm curious to what your experience has been. As always, have fun, stay safe, and don't forget to back up. Oh, and before we go, if you've ever run across this particular piece of humor in social media and so forth, now you're in a position to understand it. There are 10 kinds of people in the world, those who understand binary and those who don't. It's actually a mispronunciation. The correct way to state this is that there are 10 kinds of people in the world, because 10 is, of course, binary for 2. Take care, everyone.